Well, it's great to be here in front of the Missouri delegation. I remember doing stuff for Dick Gephardt a number of times. And this year I got a new, I don't know, it's not fair to say pet project, but Jason Kander is unbelievable. And Claire introduced him to the caucus and talked him up, and you know, you look at him, I mean, he has that joke, you know his joke. I'm 30, now 35, he was 34 person, but I have a reading level. My teachers tell me I have a reading level of a 40-year-old. And, but Claire brought him up and sang his praises, and she is absolutely right about Jason. And you know it. You know it better than I do. And one of the odd things was Jason, when he was in Afghanistan, came to one of my USO shows in Kabul. And he was an intelligence officer. He was not a JAG officer, which is fine to be a JAG officer, but that's kind of usually, that's pretty safe. He was doing some pretty hairy stuff there in Afghanistan. And he heard about the show, and he and another guy got in a vehicle and hauled ass off to Camp Phoenix in Kabul. And the best things I've ever done are those USO tours. And I remember that show. I remember specifically that show. I did 7 USO tours. I was in Afghanistan 4 times. But I remember that show at Camp Phoenix because it was about 28, 29 degrees. And this is the 4th year I'd done Afghanistan. And I did it with, when we did these USO shows, US shows are really eclectic. We had Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders. We had right-wing country western stars. Daryl Worley, who sang that song, Have You Forgotten How It Felt That Day? Really right-wing, great guy. We had so much fun on those tours, and they were also so moving to see our troops. And I remember that show, it was 2006, and it was probably the low point in Iraq, and it wasn't going so great in Afghanistan, and they were having trouble getting people into the military at that point. And so they were taking waivers, I can't remember they call them, something like morality waivers, to get people into the military. So they were taking people with records and spotty records. And I remember that show because there was some bleachers, mainly the soldiers stood in this cold. And we had been doing this 4 years. The first year we wondered if our show was too long. We did a 2.5-hour show. And we realized it wasn't too long, so next year we did a 3-hour show. Because these men and women, when they're serving there, their life is comprised of 2 things: being bored or being terrified. So by the time we did this show, we were doing a 4-hour show. Because we were a piece of home. And so they're standing there in 29, 28, 27 degree weather. And I remember, I used to do this bit where I'd say, this is my 7th USO tour, and you know, I gotta say that every time my respect for the military just grows. One thing I don't understand is this don't ask, don't tell policy. We all know that brave gay men and women have served in our military from the very beginning of this country. Take Colonel Miller. And then I'd always point to the commander of the base. Take Commander Miller. One of the bravest men ever to put on our nation's nation's uniform, a great leader, and yet one of the gayest men I've ever met in my life. He is so gay. Stand up, Colonel, and wave to the guys. And Colonel Miller, this was in Camp Phoenix, waves to everybody. And there was a section in the bleachers, there were some bleachers, of women together who just cheered. At the end of the show, we got this beautiful, and it's in my office, this beautiful triangular frame with a flag that had flown over Camp Phoenix. Beautiful gold filigree. It was the Afghans make beautiful furniture, and Colonel Miller gave us each one of these, and he said, "Al, you keep telling those don't ask, don't tell jokes. There's a group up there you got a real cheering section up there. These gay, these lesbian soldiers, and they just cheered." And what you knew then, and I had done these years enough, that things had changed. And those soldiers, those men and women, straight and gay, they did not want someone with a moral waiver on their right. They wanted that gay, lesbian soldier who had been on their left or their right throughout the last year or so. And it was the most moving thing. We have a great military. And you saw Donald Trump tearing down our military last week, which is inexcusable. Yes. And Bill Clinton, in last night's speech, which I thought was beautiful, and such a testament to Hillary. And I thought Michelle Obama's speech was absolutely astounding. And I can feel this convention. I can feel the momentum of this convention. And when what Bernie did was a gift. What Bernie did during this campaign was a gift. And I called him Sunday night with a joke that thank God he didn't use. I'll tell you later. But we are coming out of this united. I was in Cleveland last week. It's very different. That's my number one observation. It's very different. Look, they painted a very dark, ugly picture of the United States. And that's not the country that Claire or I or Jason sees. We know we got problems, but the solution to those problems aren't magical like Donald Trump thinks they are. That they're going to be solved by him, and it's going to be fast. My goodness. But they're going to be solved fast. We're going to beat ISIS. I'm not going to tell you, but it's going to be fast. This is childlike thinking. This is childlike thinking. Applaud for childlike thinking.
How's he going to do it again?
Fast.
He's going to do it fast. This is a guy, and this is where the trust issue comes in. And last night, I thought President Clinton talked about it perfectly. I've known Hillary for about 24 years. And I trust her to do the work. Claire and I get to see the presidency up a little closer than maybe some of you. It is a hard job. You have to deal with crises as they come. You don't get to choose your crisis. And the First Lady yesterday said, you have to be knowledgeable. And that means you have to work every day and inhale information and process that information every day. And she's been doing it every day for her life.
Right.
Donald Trump has no process. He's not interested. I mean, the president last night said, this is the fun part, giving the speeches. The hard part is making change. That's the hard part. Their guy is a joke. And we have the real deal. Now, I spoke yesterday on my expertise on right-wing megalomaniacs, and I started with someone from your state, Rush Limbaugh. And I've identified another one. This guy is a borderline personality, unless he's on the other side of the border. This guy's a narcissist. This guy sees things only from a very, very narrow, and I think sick point of view. This is an absolutely crucial, essential election. So I want Missouri, and it's a lift. But I want Missouri to get us Hillary. And I certainly want Missouri to get us Jason Cameron.